Good morning, grade sixes. Welcome to your daily lesson of mathematics brought to you by WorksheetCloud. I hope you guys are all very well today and looking forward to your maths lesson. Just a reminder of the email address on your screen, grade6@worksheetcloud.com. Please feel free to use it to send me any feedback, questions, or perhaps there's a topic you'd like me to go over, and I'd be more than happy to do so in the next couple of lessons. Just let me know. Today we're going to go and have a look at some addition and subtraction strategies, and on either side of that we've got our warm-ups, our mental arithmetic questions based on previous lessons, and then our finishes and brain benders at the end. So without talking too much more, let's get into our warm-up activity. A nice autumnal theme. Please tell me the value of all the symbols. And don't forget the question mark at the end. And as you can see, there's a little clue at the bottom which says look out for fractions. So yeah, these puzzles are starting to get a little bit more challenging. And I hope you guys are embracing the challenge. Take your time, there's no rush. Press pause, work through it methodically, check your work, and then press play to see how you guys get on. I'm going to start on the third line, and I can see that 4 is going to be equal to 0 plus 4. So quite a nice, easy starting point. I'm then going to go to the top line, and I know that a half plus a half plus a half, and again another half is going to be equal to 2. I then know that a half plus 0 is equal to a half. Okay. Then a half plus a half is equal to 1, so the pumpkin is equal to 1. And then my last step is going to be a half, add 0, plus 1 half, add 1, and my final answer is going to be equal to 2. Important things to point out, denominators are the same, so I can add those fractions quite easily. And yeah. That's just the way we're starting the lesson today. I hope you guys have remembered the principles of adding fractions. Right, let's have a look at our mental arithmetic questions for today. There's 7 of them. And again, I'm going to encourage you guys to work through them quite slowly and methodically. Set your work out logically. Use a pencil in case you need to rub out, because I know you're going to check your answers to see if you've made any careless errors. And then press play to see how you guys get on. So your first question is the addition of two relatively large decimal numbers, 567,72, and I'm adding 281,09. And by now we know that we should put the numbers in the correct column. The decimals always line up, and we just add normally as if we were adding numbers without decimals, and that's going to give you 848,81. Number 2 is the subtraction of decimals, 3,819, subtract 2,162, okay, and again we subtract normally and borrow where we need to, and the decimals always line up. And then we can check. Now remember, our check strategy is just 7 add 2, and we do addition because it's the opposite of subtraction, and that's equal to 9. 5 and 6 is equal to 11. 6 and 1 is equal to 7, and 1 and 2 is equal to 3. So if those are all correct, then we know that our original calculation must be correct. Okay, your next question is a long multiplication question, and there are several ways of doing this. 92 multiplied by 61. I'm going to break up the 61 into 60 and 1. So first I'm going to say 92 multiplied by 60. Okay, and to do that, I'm just going to say 92 multiplied by 6 first. So 90 times 6 is 540, plus 2 times 6 is 12. Okay, so that's going to give me 552. But remember, we've multiplied by 60, so we need to include that 0 for the multiple of 10. And then I've still got to add on 1 multiplied by 92. So I need to add on 92 to 5,520. And that's going to give me an answer of 5,612. Okay, so that's one method. We can have a look at another method just to see if this calculation is correct. Perhaps we want to do your standard column method. And 1 times 2 is 2, 1 times 9 is 9. The important step of the 0 for the placeholder. 6 times 2 is 12, and 9 times 6 is 54. Add that 1 is 55. Okay, and that's going to leave me with, let's have a look, 5,612. So the same answer. So the original calculation must be correct. You can double and halve. Okay, let's have a look at how that works out. So I need to halve the 92 because it's the even number, and half of 92 is 46. And then I need to double 62, and that's going to give me 122. I can halve 46 again to 23 and double to 244. Okay, but that I can't really go much further. So in this instance, I'm not too sure if it really makes the calculation easier. Okay, because 23 times 244 is still going to be quite a tricky calculation to do. So whatever method you use, just make sure that it makes sense to you and that you're confident and comfortable in doing it. 5,612 is our answer to that calculation. Okay. Then we have division, 18,904, and to divide by 2 is simply to halve a number, and short division is when you divide by a single digit. And 2 doesn't go into 1, but it goes into 18 9 times. Remember, the decimal needs to line up. 2 goes into 9 4 times with 1 left over, so that 0 now becomes 10. 2 goes into 10 5 times, nothing left over. 2 goes into 4 twice. The check of this, 9,452 multiplied by 2. Okay, and we need to make sure that we have the same number, and 18,904 shows us that our division calculation is correct. Question 5 is the addition of fractions, and the first thing you can notice there is the denominators are different. So we need to find the lowest common multiple of 10 and 4. Okay, the lowest common multiple of 10 and 4 is 20. 10 goes into 20 twice, so 2 times 9 is 18. 5 goes into 25 times, 5 times 1 is 5, and that's going to leave us with 23 over 20, which we know is 1 and 3 over 20. Now, if you had said that the lowest common denominator, or if you had changed that to 40, because you hadn't recognized that 20 was the lowest common denominator, then you can ultimately get an equivalent answer, okay, but this is what it's going to look like. 36, because 10 goes into 44 times, and 4 times 9 is 36, plus 10, so that's going to give you 46 over 40. Okay, and when you simplify that, 40 goes into 46 once, you're left with 6 over 40, and if you simplify 6 over 40, you get 3 over 20, so you're left with the exact same answer as we had before. Okay, so if you didn't recognize that 20 was the lowest common denominator, you'll just have to simplify a little bit further at the end. But I'm hoping that you guys were able to recognize 20 as the lowest common denominator of 9/10 and 1/4. Okay, question 6 is the multiplication of a decimal by 100, and you know that when we multiply a number by 10, 100, or 1,000, that number gets bigger by however many tens are in that number. Okay, so 100 is 10 times 10, so that's 2 places bigger. So that answer is going to be 690,1. Okay, and then question 7, the key there is to do the multiplication first, because multiplication comes before addition. So you're left with 6 plus 15, and that is equal to 21. Okay, I hope you guys have remembered those previously taught principles. If not, just remember you can go back to the previous lessons as well as the online activities and memos. They are all there to help you consolidate the information that we're teaching you, and please make the most of this opportunity and make sure you consolidate and you really understand the information being taught. Okay, let's get on to the main theme for today, which is mental addition strategies. And we're going to first start off by talking about the compensation method. Okay, so remember the whole thing about calculations is trying to make the calculation more sensical, easier for us to understand. And one of the ways we do this is to try and get friendly numbers. Okay, and remember, friendly numbers always end in 0. So you can see with the example on the screen, 235 plus 68, what we're suggesting you do is you turn the 68 into 70. So you give 68 2 more, that becomes 70. So now 235 plus 70 is a lot easier than adding 68. And then you get that answer of 305, but then you've got to remember to take off those 2 that you gave to 68 to make the calculation easier. For me, it's easier to add 70 and then take 2 off at the end than to simply add 68. On the right-hand side, we're adding 41. So we've taken the 41, we've taken 1 off to make 40. So we've had 325 plus 40. And we get that answer, and then we've just got to remember we've got to add that extra 1. So we're playing around with the second number, and I've got 4 examples for you on the screen. These are the first 4 I'd like you to do, and then we'll go have a look at some compensation strategies with subtraction and decimals. So press pause, see if you can work through those 4 questions on the screen, and then we'll go through them together on the Google Jamboard. Check it out. So 424 adds 68. What I'm suggesting you do is you turn 68 into 70. Okay, and it's always useful to write in what you've done to the 68. Now 424 plus 70, I know that that's going to be 494. Okay, and then because I added 2 in the beginning, I must take 2 off, and my final answer is going to be 492. Okay, so it's just a quicker way for us to work out these calculations. Let's have a look at the second one, which is 564 add 132. And what I'm suggesting you do is you change the 132 to 130. Okay, so we know we've subtracted 2. Okay, now 564 plus 100 is 664, plus that 30 is going to be 694. And then remember, I took 2 off in the beginning, so I must now give those 2 back, and that's going to give me 696. Okay, so another nice example of how to do that calculation mentally using a compensation strategy. 234 plus 18, you guessed it, we're going to add 20, so we've given 18 2 more. Okay, we know that that's going to be 254, and then we must just take 2 off, and that's going to give you 252. Okay, and the last one is 214 add 141. Okay, so what I'm going to suggest you do is you change the 141 into 140. Okay, now you can see that's going to be equal to 354. I now need to give that still another 1 because we took 1 off at the beginning, and that's going to give me 355. Okay, so that's an idea of how you guys can use the compensation strategy when you add numbers. But what about when we subtract numbers? Can we do it then? And the answer is yes, we can. So if you can have a look at the examples, 270 minus 59 is equal to 211. Okay, fine. But it's easier for me to say 270 minus 60. So I give that 59 an extra digit, becomes 60. I subtract, and now I must add an extra 1 at the end. So the confusing part comes in here when we have to add that extra 1. Originally I'm subtracting 59, now I'm subtracting 60. So I'm subtracting 1 more, okay? So therefore I need to give that 1 back at the end. The right hand side example, 350 plus 73, I'm going to add 70, okay? And then I'm going to add 3 at the end. So I'm first going to add the 70 because adding friendly numbers is easier. That will give me 420. And then because I added 3 less, I must now add those 3 at the end. Okay? So there are 4 examples there for you to do, all subtraction. Let's have a see if you can wrap your head around it, and then press play to see how you get on with the Jamboard. So 725 subtract 39, I'm going to say let's go 725 minus 40. Okay, now that's going to give us 685. Okay, but I've subtracted an extra 1. Okay, so now I must give that 1 back. Okay, so here I'm going to try explain this to you again. Originally I'm subtracting 39. I've now subtracted 40, so I've subtracted an extra 1, so I must give that 1 back, and that's going to give me 686. Question 285 minus 198. I'm going to suggest that we go 285 minus 200. Okay, so I've given 198 2 more. I've subtracted 2 additional units. That's 85. Okay. And now because I've subtracted 2 more, I must give those 2 back, and that's going to give me 87. Okay? Your third example, 373 minus 49, and you're quite correct if you had rounded 49 to 50. That's exactly what we're looking for. So we're taking 50, so we're subtracting an extra 1. Okay? So 373 minus 50 is pretty straightforward. I now need to give 1 back, and that's going to give me 324. Okay, so the key there is just to realize that you're subtracting an extra unit. And then your last example on this compensation method with subtraction, 444 minus 43. Okay. I'm first going to say, well, let's subtract 40. Okay, that's going to give us 415. And now I'm going to subtract the extra 3. And that's going to give us 412. So we've split the 43 up into 40 and 3. And we've got an answer of 412. Okay, let's go have a look at how the compensation method works with decimals. Okay, and in the example, you can see that we round the decimal to the nearest whole number. So for 31,4 plus 5,8, we've gone 31,4 plus 6. So we've given 5,8 an extra 2/10. Okay, we've now added a 31,4 plus 6, so a decimal and a whole number, which is a lot easier than 2 decimals being added together. And then we've just got to recognize that we've got to take those 2/10, which is 0,2. We've got to take that off to get your final answer of 37,2. If you look at the right hand side, 51,4 plus 8,3, I've first added 8, so I've rounded 8,3 to 8. 51,4 plus 8 is 59,4. I must still then add the 0,3, and that gives me 59,7. Okay, so just remember, we're looking for easy ways to work out the addition and eventually the subtraction of decimals mentally using the compensation method. So there are 4 examples for you on the screen. Work through them. Remember, there's no rush, there's no race, and then press play to see how you guys get on. Okay, so the first one, 9,5 plus 2,8. I'm going to suggest we go 9,5 plus 3. We know that's 12,5. I've given 2,8 an extra 2/10. That means I need to take that off 12,5, and that leaves me with 12,3. Okay? Your second example, 8,3 plus 1,8. And I know you guys have suggested that we go 8,3 plus 2. Okay? So I change it at 1,8 to 2. That gives me 10,3. I've given that 1,8 an extra 2/10. So I must now take those 2/10 off, and that's going to give me 10,1. Okay? Question 3 is slightly different in that we can just split the 3,1 into 3, okay, and 0,1. So all we need to do there is treat it like a split strategy. But we've also rounded off to the nearest whole number, which is 3, and then we've added that extra 10th. Okay, so it's split strategy and compensation strategy. You can look at it in both ways. 2,4, we're rounding, to number 4, we're rounding 0,9 off to 1, whole number. So we're going to say 2,4 plus 1. We've given 0,9 an extra 10th. And now I must simply take that 10th off, and that's going to give me 3,3. Okay, so that's the compensation strategy with adding decimals. Let's go have a look at what we do when we subtract decimals. So again, in the answer, in the example, you can see that we round off to the nearest whole number. And then depending on if we round it up or if we round it down, we need to add or subtract the tenths towards the end. So on your first example, 52,5 minus 3,9, we've rounded 3,9 to 4. We've done the calculation. We've subtracted an extra tenth. We must now give that tenth back at the end. And in the second example, 65,4 minus 8,3, we first subtracted 8, and then we must subtract the additional 0,3. Okay? So work through those 4 examples, and let's see how you guys get on. Okay, I've already done the first example for you. So we have 5,3 minus 3,8. I've rounded off 3,8 to 4. So that means I've given it 2/10. 5,3 minus 4 is pretty straightforward, is 1,3. But now I must give those 2/10 back. Okay, and then 1,3 plus 0,2 is 1,5. Your second example, 68,3 minus 1,8. Again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to round the 1,8 to 2. So what I'm actually doing effectively is I'm taking away an additional 2/10. We know that 68,3 minus 2 is 66,3. I've subtracted an additional 2/10. I must now give those 2/10 back, and that's going to give me 66,5. Okay? For question number 3, I'm going to round off the 2,9 to 3. Okay, that's my closest whole number. Okay, and I think that's a little bit easier to work out. That's going to be 4,3. I've subtracted an additional 1/10, so I must give that 1/10 back, and that's going to give me an answer of 4,4. And then your last example, And you're quite correct in saying, hey, you must round off the 9,8 to 10. So if we've got 32,5 minus 9,8, it becomes 32,5 minus 10, which is pretty straightforward. I've subtracted an additional 0,2, so I must give that 0,2 back, and that's going to give us 22,7. Okay? Just remember the checking strategies that you can use. I can take the 22,7, I can add it to 9,8, and I need to get 32,5. Okay? And then if you end up with that answer, then happy days, you know that your calculations are correct. So we just do the opposite. We do the opposite of the subtraction, and we do the addition. The strategy we're going to look at today is called the bump strategy, and we'll read through the instructions on the screen. So with subtraction, we need to bump the second number to a multiple of 10, which is a friendly number. It ends in 0. Okay, and this makes the problem a lot easier to do mentally, which is in our heads. Okay, you've got to do the same to the other number, so the difference between the two numbers remains the same. So if I have 65 minus 22, I'm going to subtract 2 from the 22 to make 20, and then I need to do the same thing to the 65, is subtract the same amount. So subtract 2, and that gets 63 minus 20. Now 65 minus 22 is going to give you the exact same answer as 63 minus 20, which is 43. But the 63 minus 20, in my opinion, is a lot easier than 65 minus 22. So that's why we call it the bump strategy, because we're bumping a number either up or down to a friendly number, a number that ends in 0. And yeah, I encourage you guys to have a look at those 5 questions on your screen. Work through them, see if you can come up with the answer. Check your answers by doing the reverse, so do some addition so you can practice that check strategy, and let's see how you guys get on. For A, remember we wanted to bump the second number up to or down to a multiple of 10. So what do I do for A? I'm going to add 1 to 19 so that it becomes 20. And remember we said we would do the same to both numbers. So that's now 47 minus 20. Okay, and that's pretty straightforward. That answer is now 27. Okay. If you want to check, we say 27 plus 20, does it equal 47? Yes, it does. Okay. If you check 46 minus 19, and we can do it in a column method quickly to see if we're correct. Okay, we get the exact same answer. But I think the bump strategy is a lot easier than doing the column method, which I've shown you at the bottom of the page. The second example in B, I'm going to subtract 3. Okay, because now I'm going to have 82 minus 30. Okay, and I know that that's just going to be 52. 52 at 30 is 82. Yes, it is. Let's check 85 minus 33. Gives me the same answer. For C, I'm going to subtract 1 to get 21 to a friendly number. 63 minus 20, 43. And if I go 43 at 20, 63, yes. 64 minus 21, 43. So you can see it's, in my opinion, a lot easier to do the bump strategy. Okay, let's just clear some space before we do the last calculation. And that last one is, last 2. Okay, so 56 minus 42, I'm going to subtract 2 to make the 42 40. So that means I'm going to have 54 minus 40. Okay, nice and easy. 14. Check, go the opposite. 14 at 40 equals 54. Yes. And you'll notice 56 minus 42 is also 14. And then the last one, I'm going to add 2 to get 60. So I must add 2 to get 96 minus 60. Okay, subtracting a friendly number equals 36. And if you said 36, add 60, you get 96. And your answer there is correct. So guys, that's the bump strategy, which you might find useful when doing your subtraction calculations. And we've worked through the compensation method quite comprehensively. And I encourage you guys to go and have a look at the online activity with Memo so that you can consolidate this information. I would also encourage you to go back and just have another look at the video just to make sure you fully understand and grasp the concept of the compensation method and then obviously the bump strategy that I've just shown you. And let me know if you have any questions using the email address that's on your screen, grade6@worksheetcloud.com, and I'll be more than happy to help you clarify any concepts moving forward. Guys, you now know that you're on the yellow or the triple dot level of the game 24. This is the most difficult level. So I'm really looking to challenge you, and I hope you're accepting the challenge to try come up with the answer of 24 on each card using a combination of add, subtract, multiply, and divide, and see how many different ways you can come up with the answer of 24. And I hope you continue to challenge each other at home. Grade 6s, thanks very much for joining me today. I hope you learned something new or consolidated some previously taught information. Again, I'm going to remind you of all the lessons, all the online activities and memos that are there for you on WorksheetCloud.com to make the most of that opportunity and really make sure that you understand this work moving forward. Have a great day. Keep safe. See you next time. All the best.